Hello. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone can hear me. So, welcome to another week. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone can hear me. Feedback. Hi. Yes. Sorry. So, welcome to another week of Synth Stream, I guess. My name is Tim. I am from City Music. So, for the past couple of weeks, I have been going through with you guys the different synthesizers or the way you can do different synthesis. The first week that we talked about analog synthesizers. So just a slight recap. Analog synthesizers are one of the more fundamentals and more basic way of doing synthesis. It includes taking a little bit of electricity to make sounds, and then you can go put it through different filters, different circuits to affect the pitch, affect the sound, affect how bright or how dark the kind of sound is. So things like that, even though they sound like electronic and whichever, they actually started out since the 60s. Development actually in the 50s. So using electricity to make music is not a new thing. People have been trying to practice and perfect the art since that time. Fast forward a little, I don't know, 20, 30 years, another gentleman started digital synthesis, which we talked about last week with the Op6. So the Korg Op6, and then of course talking about the Yamaha DX7. Hello everybody. Hello, hi Chris. Oh, to video keys on YouTube. So we are streaming on YouTube as well. This isn't a vocoder. These are mini synthesizers, which we'll get to it later. So yeah, so digital synthesis started since the 70s and the 80s. Then people started making music with it. We are making pop music, especially in the 80s with the DX7, all the presets on DX7, where it takes, you don't just take electricity, you take FM waves, so sine waves, and then you manipulate them through different filters. You manipulate them with another sine wave, and then what you get will be like a moderator, carrier, operator, sound kind of thing. For the full explanation, you can watch it back on our Facebook and YouTube as well. So the both previous episodes are available on Facebook. This one will be we are live on Facebook and YouTube right now. We will be saved on there as well, so you can take a look. Today we are sort of talking about both things again, except smaller. So how much smaller? So the previous one, the previous synths were like what, this size, so it's quite big. It's basically the whole part of this by itself. But today, each synthesizer that we are going to talk about is only this size. So it's like what, literally in the palm of my hands. Hey, so for people who have followed us, this is the Volca cake that I used in the first episode together with the mini log. So Volca cake, all right, and an analog synthesizer in a small thing. All right, so what I have hooked up today is a whole bunch of the different Volcas together. I have some on over here as well on the rack. So these are available at City Music as well. You can put them in the rack, or you can put them on the table, just like how I did today. So how much a dipshit? Each Volca is roughly 100 plus 200. Baila, 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 baila. All right. So why a Volca special? I mean, judging by the size, so the previous two synths or three synths that I used the other time, they took up like almost my entire table. This one, not only do you get, I don't know, 80% or 90% of the sound of the same sound, but in like 25% of the size. So you can have like the op6, you can have the mini log, you can have everything together. But they are small, they are battery powered as well. So you can either power them with batteries, 6 AA's each, or going to a power supply. Or even better, you connect them to a Volca Mix, which is this thing. So this thing is powering up my Volcas right now. I have 3. So you can power up to 3 on each Volca Mix. You can of course get more than one. You can also connect them. You can sync them together with the time with these cables. All these colored cables over here. So yeah. Audio is going out from here as well into my L8 mixer. So if you see this thing over here, this is my mixer. Later on, I can talk about how you can connect this into a computer as well, just like how I'm doing right now. And then of course MIDI also. Alright, so to my presentation. Korg Volca. Alright, so whoa. You can see all the different Volcas clearly on the screen. So at the top we have the Volca bass, the Volca FM, Volca beats, Volca drum, keys, sample 2, the Volca mix, the Volca kick, the new bass, and then the Volca modular. So yeah, they're so small you have to like stack them on top, then you can see everything. So all these different Volcas are doing different things, very important, very fun things. There's a mixture of analog and digital synthesis as well, so you can have a little bit of everything. If you want to give like different form of synthesis a try, you can try them out on the Volca, because one, again, like I said, I cannot emphasize enough, they are small, but they can all give you the fundamentals, the basics on how to do that particular style of synthesis. You want to play with modular, we have the vocal modular. You want to play with digital, we have the FM. You want to play with analog, we have the keys, we have the beats, we have the kick. All right, so okay, this is an example of how other people are setting up. So it looks freaking insane. So there's 3 vocal mixes, together with one of the bigger racks. So it's the same rack as the one I'm using now, except that's the biggest version. So I think that's everything. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's everything together with 3 vocal mixes. So the vocal mix is not just like, oh, I'm gonna sell you a product that we put mix. No, it's actually very good for the whole ecosystem. You know, like how different brands are doing different ecosystems. Same thing. So with the vocal mix, you can sync all the timing together. You can control the master time, just like I did just now. You can mix all the different volumes as per the piece. You can also have a very good, nice filter in the mix as well. And then another example, oh, and Goblin Speaker. So you see, if you all can see those small dots at the bottom right of all the mixes, that's actually the speaker hole. Yeah, and then you can choose to turn on and off the speaker as well, just like this thing over here. Oh, it's black, so you can't really see, but it's there. All right, so another example. This is even more thick. Hey, so from what I can see, this person also has all the vocals together with what I assume is a sequencer slash trigger, I guess. So you can use to trigger with MIDI. So just all the bottom, top, middle, right of the vocals are all the MIDI ports. So you can use with a MIDI controller, or you can use them with each other as well. All right. And most importantly, this is not a product placement, but at the bottom right of this picture, there is a Zoom MS70 CDR as well. 60 or 70? So this is what I realized, not so much of while researching, but like taking a look at how other people are using the Volcas. A very popular effects unit that they're using is actually that one, the MS70 CDR, together with the MS50G, which is another guitar. So all these are actually single multi effects unit that looks like one single stump box. Chorus, delay, reverb, CD recorder. Right. So for people who are wondering who I'm talking to my colleague Deep Shit. Sup everybody? Hey, got reverb, right? Hey. Yeah, so that is Deep Shit. Alright, so back to the presentation. Yeah, so that one is a very popular unit. So I tried it out with like different units as well. During my last year stream, I did it with the HX. You can use it with the CDR and everything. Next, so this is another smaller example. So this has the beats, bass, and the keys, also known as the OG trilogy of Volcas. So those 3 are actually the first 3 that came out of the whole Volcas series in 2013. All right, and then the one in the middle is, I can only presume, is a key oscillator pad. It's either the sampler version or non-sampler version. You don't have to see at the back. But that is like a small chaos pad, XY grid that you can manipulate all the different filters and stuff. Going into a very small mixer on the top right. So the mixers there is for all the audio, of course. The MIDI, this looks like his own pedal board sort of thing. The MIDI, I assume, is going to a MIDI clock or to a multi MIDI unit. All right, so you can have all the different sizes. Like you can have big ones, huge ones. You can have big ones. Use with other stuff. You can use with effects. Oh yeah, I've never seen. There's another chaos pad there as well. At the bottom left of the picture. And then you can have something small with the original tree. All right, and this is somewhat medium size. So this has the Korg Electribe as well, and then with 6 of the Volcas, FM, keys, beats, bass, kick, and sample. So I think this was taken a little bit after the first one, the previous one. Used together with Electribe. Electribe is another sequencer beat machine kind of thing. All right. So yeah, you can choose to have small. You can use them by themselves. Of course, it's more fun if you have all the other stuff as well. All right. So what they are analog style. They have analog style. There, Volcas. And let me find you a picture. Where is my mouse? All right. So on Korg's website, where is the thing? Oh no! So on Korg's website, you can actually see all the different vocals. So you see whether used by themselves or together, they bring synth and drum programming to people with ease. I can't emphasize on how easy it is to make music out of this whole thing. All you have to do is just press a preset, mess around with the filters and everything, and you are kind of set. So vocal series lineup. So we talk about analog ones. So the analog ones are here. Well, are mostly analog anyway. So there's the bass, beats, keys, kick, modular, new bass, and mixes of course analog. So like I said, the first three that came out were the beats, keys, and bass. So they kind of settle everything for you: the rhythm, the melody, and then the low end. Let's see if we can press play on the sound. So why I do demo? Korg already got demo already. Ah. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, so I think that's enough of the bass. So the other one that they started out with will be the beats. So let's give beats a little look. Yeah, this is my favorite thing to do. Just start fall on the floor, man. Hey! Alright. I could have filmed this. I could have filmed this. Alright, that is me. Alright. Okay, so that's the beats. You kind of get the idea. Then next one will be the keys. Let's skip a little further. Yeah, so the delay is from the keys itself. Alright, so those are the three first ones that came out first. Then fast forward a little bit more. Let's see, I had a list here. So the beats, bass, and keys came out first. All three full analog synthesizers that came out around that time. I'm pretty sure last time the price was a little bit low, so they're still, but they are super affordable. But again, like I said, super affordable, super small, but they give you very similar sounds to whatever their full size counterparts are. The beats is very akin to the Roland 808, the TR 808. So all your boom bap hip hop stuff is all available. The bass and keys are based on Korg's own design. I think based on I read Mini Korg 700, so it's one of the very vintage synths that Korg had. All right, so fast forward a year, then there's a Volcas sample. Volcas sample. So Volcas sample. Let's see, there's a picture. So the Volcas sample looks like this. So this white one over here, so it's supposed to look like not look like, but it's supposed to remind you of the MPC 4800, which is one of the more famous sampling machines slash drum rhythm machines available. So you have all your different filter settings, sample settings, MIDI, USB, and everything. So again, I can't emphasize enough. It's so small. It's in my palm of my hands. You can load. I think the first one had like 100 plus samples. This is the newer Volcas sample 2. So this has USB that you can see. This one I think has double the storage. So I think like 200 plus samples for you to load in. All right. So that was 2014. They released the original Volcas sample. All right. So a little bit more, then they had the Volca FM and the Volca Kick. So that was kind of cool because that's the first time I think that is the first time they released a digital synthesis kind of synthesize Volca. So with the FM, as we all know, is based on the Yamaha DX7. The previous one had four operators for you to choose. This Volca FM has I think 4 operators as well, and then 3-note polyphony or 4-note polyphony, which means you can play up to 4 notes at the same time, which I think is the first 4 notes in Volca, but the keys already can give you 3-note polyphony already when it first came out. So let's find the original one. Let's give them a listen as well. All right, so digital. This is the Volca FM. Together with the sample as well. Alright, so super easy sound editing. Yeah. Alright, the sample is doing the drums, of course. Alright, so that was the sample and the FM. So those were released in 2016. 14 for the sample, 16 for the FM and kick. Oh yeah, I forgot to watch the kick. So let's go to the kick. So the vocal kick is based on the sort of the MS-20 from Korg as well. That one's a pretty famous synth. That was since the 80s, 90s. All right, so the filters is a very recognizable sound, and you can find it on the vocal kick as well. Your water will move. So what he's doing is using a step mode, which is a very common sequencing way in the Volcas. Also with the sample is the one doing the hi-hat. Alright, so that is the vocal kick. As you can see, so most of all the different vocals have their own built-in step sequencer. So they all have 16 steps, which means you can actually program any of them to whatever rhythms you want, and then by the time you blend them with another rhythm of another vocal, you kind of have your own, like, no, I won't say polyrhythm, but you can get polyrhythm if you don't sync them and then you step sequence them by yourself. All right, so let's see. After the kick and FM, then they came out with the mix, which is the one that I've been using to control everything so far. That was in 2018. So it comes with stereo output, as you can see. There are 3 channels on the mix. So on the mix, you have 3 channels, 3 volume knobs, 3 filters. The 2 inputs, the first 2 are mono, then the third one is a stereo output, which I've connected to the FM because of the stereo. Um, so you can, if you're on a bigger stage, you can actually split the sound quite far because there is also a width control on it as well. The effects that you can put them through will be through the aux send out and then the aux in. So on the send out, there are actually 3 smaller knobs at the bottom. So these 3 smaller knobs, you can actually decide how much of the signal you want to send to the effects unit, and then how much will come back through the aux in. You can't really control the aux in level unless you can do so on your effects unit itself. So yeah, quite simple. So it was a very neat way of consolidating all your different vocals, because back then when there wasn't all your different vocals had to be battery powered, or they had to be uh with a power adapter. So like, by the time you have like 3 or 4 units together, you have 3 or 4 power adapters. That's a takes up quite a bit of space already, practically the size of one vocal itself on your power tray. So with the vocal mix, it was a very neat and very nice way, together with the theme of the whole small boxy kind of thing, to power them up together and then get everything linked up together. All right. There's also a headphone output on the thing. So if you are going to monitor the thing, you can listen, and then while the rest of the front of house, your main stage will get the main audio. All right. So after the mix was the drum, and then the new bass, and then the modular. So the drum, new bass, and modular were kind of cool. So they were the let's show you. So we talk about the modular, the new basses. So obviously, when it's a new bass, it was also kind of similar to the old bass, the vocal bass. So supposedly, when it came out, they were all talking about how they were kind of similar to the acid house sound of the 90s, where the sounds came from mostly like a Roland TB303, which is very like grimy, very gritty, very loopy kind of bass sounds. So the first one that came out was the bass, but apparently a bunch of people thought that the filters on the bass was a bit too different sounding from the actual inspiration. So fast forward a couple of years, they came out with the new bass. So the new bass, but the new bass is also special. So while the filter may sound a little bit like the Roland, there's an additional tube at the end. So if I show you, this blue thing over here is actually a vacuum tube. Granted, it's not the vacuum tube that we are all familiar with, like the ones you see on like big guitar amplifiers, or like, if you're old enough, your TV or your toaster for that matter. This one is a small chip where a vacuum tube is encased on the small chip and then put into a bigger enclosure. So the blue light you see is actually from this thing called the new tube. That's why it's called the new bass. Why this is cool is because on the left hand corner, you can actually see what they call a vacuum tube oscillator. So you sort of get a tube like oscillator sound, but like how not you know lah, but the vocal FM, all digital, they tend to sound a little bit too clean sometimes. So sometimes when you want to add a little bit of dirt, people can artificially add gain somewhere through the circuit, or you put some filter or whatever to make it sound gainy. Whereas this one, on the other hand, because there's an actual tube inside, you can control, you can give it a real overdrive, sort of overdrive kind of sound. With the saturation, so you got light, saturation, or the level, so you can decide how gainy you want the sound to be when you play it. All right, so that is the new bass. And then they came out with the drums. So the drum is over here. The drum it's similar to, well, it's basically a drum machine, but the sound isn't from analog oscillators. So there are different DSP. So DSP should be a word quite familiar to most of us right now. So DSP is found in your pedal units, your synthesizer kind of stuff. They are the one in charge of producing the sound. And for this, let's see if I can show the drums over here. You have your screen, so you have different what they call layers. You have different filters. You have multiple layers of sound onto one sound by itself. So and as such, the sound that you get is a little bit like spacey, outer spacey-ish. My words can't do it justice. So let's watch a video as well. All right, so drum. "69 parameters." Yeah, so the sound is basically like the beats, but put through a spacesuit and thrown into outer space. Yeah. Yeah, so calling it a drum machine is a little bit of an understatement, but you can do a lot of things truly on the vocal drums. All right, so just now we haven't shown the new bass. So ladder filters are something that you can, in other languages, you can call it like 2-pole, 4-pole. You can find them on the Minilog as well, and the Minilog XD, and a bunch of other analog synths. Yeah, a lot of things. Yeah, so if all this is too much for you to watch, of course it's on their YouTube, so you can go to YouTube and search Volcas. One thing that they didn't really spend too much time on was the chain. So on the new bass, you can actually chain different like rhythms together. So you can kind of make them never sound the same for a long period of time, which is kind of cool, I think. All right, so the last one is the most complicated of all, but I guess kind of the most rewarding. So some people may think that all these Volcas are modular synthesizers. That isn't necessarily the case. So they are modular in a sense where you have different pieces doing different things, and then you connect them all together to produce music. But when we talk about modular synthesis is actually taking, like how we used to talk about Bob Moog's wall of sound. So the wall will have different racks and racks of different sound generators, different effects, different filters and stuff to produce the overall sound. But that is like the whole wall. The Volcas obviously make them a little bit easier for people to play and for them to control. So that is why they made this thing called the Volca Modular. So the Volca Modular, so this thing over here, they all the different little components are actually supposed to be like the different panels that you see on like modular synthesizers. So they'll give you like little pins, little cables for you to patch all of them together onto different things. You can have a whole bunch of like polyrhythm kind of stuff, microtonal kind of stuff, which is insane and crazy and fun and very, very, very rewarding if you know how to use them eventually. All right, so let's take a quick look at the video for you to understand what Vocal Modular does. Even the video is one of the most complicated. "50 patch points." So that's 50 variations of sound that you can. Oh, it's a space reverb, digital space reverb. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of things for you to do. Yeah, so oh, yeah. So they actually give you cards for you to reference if you don't know how to use the things. For the modular, which you just looked at, they will give you like cards. So they talk about like how to do your basic patches, how to like get a ring modulator, or the full modulation, use your modulator as a second oscillator and all that kind of stuff. Then at the back, there are like module reference to let you know what each hole is doing, basically. All right, so they're not leaving you in the lurch if you don't know how to if you don't know how to play, but you want to get into it. There are some quick guides on how to use as well. For the Vocal FM, it's kind of similar. So all the different talks about like the algorithms and stuff, I've gone through it last week as well. You can take a look at them if you want. But if you decide to have the Vocal FM, they will tell you what algorithms are available on it and what each operator will do and the flow. At the back will be the different parameters that you can control. So all your envelope generator, all your different pitch rate, all your course rate, all your kind of stuff. Again, they are here to let you reference as well when you play. So they're not trying to isolate anyone or anything. They're trying to get everybody to start playing in a very easy kind of way. All right. So let me settle something. So yeah, when you have the Volcas, you Of course, you will want to play them. You can play them live, of course. But let's say you want to start recording. This you can do so in a way that is somewhat similar to this. So it's a little bit, I know, like space language for people who are not too familiar, but think of things this way. The all the Volcas are like sound generators. You want to control them. You can control them with either the ribbons on the Volcas, the pads on the Volca, but if they're a little bit small, you can connect them to a MIDI controller. Okay, pass me the innovation. So you can start controlling them with something like this kind of thing. This one is a USB one, so you will have to find you have to go through a computer, or you have to get the correct cable. But something like this gives you a bigger key, and then you can start playing them to control the Volcas. You can get something bigger, of course. So there isn't a particular limit to the ranges of the notes. So if you want to get 88 key, I think you can get it with 88 key. I just don't know how where the different pitches are, because there are some like the sample and the beats where the sounds are a little bit more limited, so you don't need all 88 keys. So even a small 25 keys usually can suffice for you. All right. And then goes into a computer. So your computer is gonna act as your brain. It's gonna act as your recorder itself. Whatever you want to record, you go into the computer, into your software, and then you can route them accordingly. So most softwares you use, be it Cubase, Ableton, Fruity Loops, whichever, they will allow you to set the settings on where you want to get the MIDI in, how you want to go out, and the audio in and out as well. So by the time you get into the Volcas, you connect them via the MIDI ports at the top right corner of the units over here. So this kind of thing. So you take a MIDI cable, plug them in, and then you can incorporate them with a computer. Another simpler way to take a look at it would be something like the one on screen now. So that is a MIDI interface. City Music has recently carried a few MIDI interfaces as well from Minimate. So don't worry about that. So all you need is something like that where you can plug in all your different MIDI devices, and then you set your main controller as as the one telling them what to do, what we call master, and then the rest will be your slave in terms of MIDI. So it's a bit dark now, master slave, but hey, 21st century, what to do? That controller there kind of looks like the Chronos that we have as well. So I don't know if that's a coincidence, but it is what it is. So so everything that USB going into a computer to tell you what to do. So that is how you get a basic connectivity into a computer to do recording or to do controlling. Or you still have to route the audio out in order to get the sound to go into your mixer. So show you. So right now, all my stuff are going into my L8, which is over here. But getting the audio out from all the different vocals into the mix, and then I get all the audio out into my L8 over here, which is then connected to my computer over here via USB cable. So it's pretty straightforward. Get your whatever that goes in must go out, basically. All right. Do I have anything more on my slide? Right. So that is the last page. So yeah, this has been a quick introduction to what Volcas do. Small units, different kind of things. Let's see if there have been any questions. All right. So yeah, this has been a quick introduction to all the different Volcas. We have all of the Volcas available right now in City Music, available for all of y'all to try. You can ask for help to see which one you want to patch with which one. The most popular configuration that I've done so far is the beats, that's for sure. And then with the FM, so you can either choose the kick, which is this, or together with the new bass, basically to get you a low end kind of like a pulse to your sound, so it feels like your music is going somewhere. Um, but of course, everything else is available, even the modular. If you want to learn about the modular as well, the racks are available if you already have your Volcas and you want to put them together in a nice way. Yeah. So no questions. I shall do a quick little outro jam and then we shall call it a day. So remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all the different socials. We have videos coming up every other week or so, every other month. We have promotions as well. Next week will be the last episode of all of the synth streams. Hopefully, we can get a couple of friends or a friend here to join us. And maybe we can learn how to make a song with all the different stuff that I've shown so far, with the mini log, with the op6, and then of course with the different Volcas. So if you want to learn how to start recording with everything into your software or incorporating them into your software, keep a lookout for next week. Be there. All right, that should be all. All right. Let me give this a try one more time. Well, that is what I've come up with in the very impromptu 5 minutes. It's a little bit easier than what it seems, but hope people have enjoyed this. Yeah. So keep a lookout for next week, and I shall see you guys soon. This is Team. Goodbye.